What's up guys, Delusion from Del Does here, and you know what? First, before I even address exactly why I'm talking to you today, let's just get the elephant out of the room right now. It's been way too many days since I posted my video with regards to my Gideon deck build from part 1, so I'm going to be bringing you part 2 today, and you know what? I just have to say, if there's anyone out there who has a pregnant wife, you will understand my predicament right now, because she is phenomenally amazing, but at the same time, an absolute angry woman. But anyway, let's not get into that in case she walks past the studio door and comes in and belts me with a brick. So, Gideon. Oh man, I love Gideon. You know it, guys. He's just like the ultimate friggin' lane pusher to me. I love his escapes. I love the giddy gorn aspect of him, and I know it really annoys the crap out of many other people when you are smashing out a lane. They come there with 3 or 4 dudes, you bail, they nearly get you, maybe 10, 20% health, and you just portal straight over a bunch of rocks in the jungle and you're out of there, or into a shadow pond or whatever it might. But anyway, so how do I build my cards? What do I put in my deck for my Armageddon build? Okay, well, let's start off with the Prime card, and we'll run through the cards on the left-hand side here, and then I'll go back and tell you the reasonings behind them. So, I use my Prime card Archmagus. I carry a cast token, 7.6 energy damage, 1 cost. I carry a Harvester key. I carry 1 health potion. I carry 2 mana potions. And I carry a healer token, which is a 2 cost card. Into my equipment, I carry an Executioner's key. That doesn't make any sense, Del. That card does nothing for you. What are you trying to do right now? I run with Pendulum of Lords. I run with the Sage's Ward, which I only just picked up. Previously to that, I think I was running the Mage's Ward, so Sage's Ward, yay! And I've now incorporated that into the build because this is the card that I was looking for, whereas before I was just warding and then getting rid of that card later on. Shadow Scroll, Solaris Reactor, some people run too, I don't see the value in it. In fact, I actually done some testing recently last night, and I was running a 4-point mana card in here, and I've reduced that down to a 3-point mana card, and I still don't really see a huge difference. I carry a Tempered Plate, Tune Barrier, and 2 Wellspring Staffs. Slightly different in build makeup than the other one, and we'll go through the points totals later on. Okay, so let's get back to having a look at the Prime. So basically you have 3 primes that you can choose from. You can have the Archmagus at 75.8 energy damage, 100% damage bonus, and you know, the passive, all passives, Centurion, 1000 health. I have previously in my Gideon builds run with that, and I do sometimes switch between the two, and I'm undecided, guys. I'm undecided at the moment, but for the purpose of today, Archmagus it will be. And you have the Warlord, which is your physical damage equivalent of the Archmagus. I'd like the 1000 health. I really do sometimes, especially when you're trying to push a huge wave, or you're dropping an ultimate above a lot of people and that extra sustainability. But I mean, how often do you really activate these cards? I don't know, maybe for the dudes playing in the higher elos all the time. Unfortunately for me, I'm constantly bloody matched with AFKs, so I don't really get a chance to do anything else other than defend. But anyway, Archmagus, let's roll with that. Cast token. Now the reason why I have the cast token in this deck is because there's sometimes opportunity for you to crack this out very early on with an Executioner's key, depending on what you're doing. And this deck is maxed cards, guys, but it's for the purpose of this. I have builds in here for solo queue. I have builds in here for duo queue, and I have builds in here for anything above that as well. So it's situational. Say for example, if I'm starting the game and I'm looking at what everyone's buying in a solo queue and I see no one's bought any keys, then I'm gonna go Executioner's key and maybe a cast token, or Executioner's key and maybe a mana pot or a health pot, or Executioner's key and maybe a Harvester key, so I can be out in the lanes getting 3 harvesters up. And in that circumstance, I'd probably try and get at least one enemy or maybe 2 enemy harvesters up, and then fall back and get our harvesters up. So cast token is just a little bit of an extra punch that you can carry out with the key for the early game, and that's about it. It's nothing more than that. You will either use it or you won't. You might take a health potion, for example, but if I do use it, more often than not, I'm using it when I'm taking the Executioner's key, and for the purpose of getting those harvesters up, because I'm in a solo queue and no one else is getting any harvesters up. Other Harvester key is self-explanatory. Again, it works in conjunction with the Executioner's key. Carry 3 before you need to return. Health potion, 2 mana pots. Very rarely do I do this anymore. I used to, at the start of playing Paragon, run with a health potion and 2 mana pots from the start. But now I've gotten to the point where, and I'm sure you will find this as you progress, you can normally start off with a ward card, or you start off with an equipment card of a different nature. The healer token. I do use the healer token quite a lot, normally around the end of the early game into the mid game. It does give a little bit more sustainability, and it works well in conjunction with Solaris Reactor to keep Gideon topped up. Because remember guys, if you watched part 1, I split the lanes. So I don't really try and get myself into a lot of fights unless it's a team fight. I'm in the left lane, I'm in the right lane. So traveling between the lanes with the healer token and with the Solaris Reactor actually allows me to top up quite a lot. Executioner's Key we covered, that's situational. Pendulum of Lords. Now, I don't always build the Pendulum of Lords, but I have put it into this build because cooldown reduction can be good for Gideon in some circumstances. I think it's better used in a team with 3 or more people. I wouldn't use this in the way that I play solo Gideon, because again, I'm splitting lanes, and I feel by the time you get from one lane to the other lane, your cooldowns are already pretty much there, and you're already halfway through your ultimate, so you don't necessarily always need this to be in play. But I have put it in for those people who might be looking at a build for team play. Sage's Ward. Previously I was just using Mage's Ward and I only had it as a pure ward card. Now I've incorporated this card into my build because this is the one that I was looking for and I quite like it. So we'll go into this one. This one gives 7.6 energy damage. In fully upgraded mode, it's 7.6 additional energy damage and 100 health. And I've kitted that one out with 3 2-point casts, which are 15.2 energy damage each. So quite a nice little card there. Then we move on to the Shadow Scroll, which is one of my favourite. Now, I've often looked at this and thought, do I need more penetration? But again, mostly playing in that solo queue or duo queue atmosphere where I'm splitting those lanes, you can see this deck is kind of catered towards, I'm fighting minions. I'm fighting minions and I'm poking the enemies. And look, there are some matches where the guys might not necessarily know a lot about how Gideon works and you can get a lot of kills as well, but more often than not, I'm poking in lanes, so the penetration, I would see penetration more so when you're fighting enemy heroes. I don't see the value in penetration for fighting creeps. So with this, I just kitted out with 3 major casts, and this is one of my main cards. So in total, it's 7.6 plus 15.2 plus 22.7 times 3, which is some crazy number that I'm sure the super duper math gurus out there are going to be able to calculate and go, well, Del, you're so pathetic. Well, guys, look, I went to school with a laptop, alright? I don't know how to spell and I don't know how to add up. Computers do that for us. God. So Solaris Reactor, another main card. Awesome card. Love the artwork on this card. I mean, you can just imagine what's behind that and where all of those cords are connected to, and this huge energy making furnace of just beasts. I mean, what is it? Are they using like antimatter in here? Is it some kind of like dark matter? Or how does it connect with Gideon? It's got to be connected to him somehow. Then again, it's intellect as well, so it can connect to other people. I don't know. Solaris Reactor, 7.6 energy damage, 0.3 mana regen, 15.2 energy damage, and I was previously running the enhanced spark in this. I was running the 1.2 mana regen in this previously. But I've since, as recently as yesterday, which I think it'll be the time this video will be uploaded, be about the 17th or 18th, I've moved back down to just an advanced spark, 0.9 mana regen, and that's sufficient for me. Again, I'm switching lanes a lot, and maybe this might change if I was in a different circumstance, but Gideon to me is the hero that I jump on when I'm having a really bad solo queue with other people, because if for some reason I jump on him and I just seem to be able to push lanes effectively to cater for anyone else who might be failing as a carry. So then I finish that off with another 2 major casts as well. So you can see I'm getting a fair bit of damage happening here, guys. A bit of regen, but it's about the damage. It's about the damage. I want to be able to roll into a lane and one-shot a creep wave. So when the enemy has, 30 creeps built up with the little kill the ranged trick, I'm going to come in just as they hit the tower and they think, yeah, I've got this. Bam. Their complete creep wave, gone. Okay, so tempered plate. Tempered plate, I run with the tempered plate because you don't know what you could be up against. You might be up a physical heavy team, and you don't necessarily always need to have one of these in the final build, but sometimes it's really worth it because by the time you got Solaris Reactor, by the time you got Shadow Scroll, by the time you got Sage's Ward, you're almost one-shotting those creep waves anyway, so you're nearly at a good point. And if you're finding yourself getting focused or getting ganked, or you just can't get a good rotation as to where you're able to stay away from the enemy and split lanes, then yeah, throw some friggin' armor on. and I run with a Greater Garter and 2 healths in that as well. So I think that the health works quite well for when you're pumping an ultimate and you're sitting up above everyone and they're still able to hit you, and you can just last that little bit longer to take them out. Same goes for the Tune Barrier. It's basically just the opposite of the Tempered Plate, and Greater Barrier and 2 healths in that one too. So situational, guys. You don't necessarily always run these in the final build. The final build, you know, for the most part consists of Sage's Ward, Shadow Scroll, Solaris Reactor, 2 Wellspring Staffs, and then you've got 1 slot for either your armor, depending on how the match is going, or you can run the Pendulum of Lords as well. And then finally we get to the Wellstring Staff. So I've calculated the points and how these add up to be a 60 point deck. And so the first Wellstring Staff I will run with 2 Major Casts and 1 cast, and that gives me 7.6 energy damage, 75 mana, 15.2 energy damage, and then of course the damage from the casts as well, which is phenomenal. And the second one is basically the final one, and I'm running with 2 minor casts and a cast in that afterwards. 7.6 energy damage, 75 mana, 15.2 energy damage in total as well. So they're the cards that I run, and a bit of an explanation on how I actually build them. Now, what is the actual build order of these cards? Right, build order. A typical build order for my 60 points without any weird stuff happening is going to be simply like this. Sage's Ward straight up. I'm going to make my way to the 2 enemy camps. I'm going to ward both of those camps with my finger ready to select a portal in case I need to, and I'm possibly getting ganked. If I can't get them deep in the enemy camps, I'm gonna ward their Shadow Pond near the camps on either sides, or as close as I can get to it. Sometimes the Shadow Pond in the mid lane. Return to base. You're basically returning to base before the minions are even fighting each other. Pick up another 2 wards, then go to your lane, ward your lane. Solaris Reactor next. Get 1 advanced spark into Solaris Reactor, then get Shadow Scroll and max Shadow Scroll out. By this time you're going to know if you're getting focused heavy or what the enemy team's like and whether you need to build some defense. You may or may not build the defense at this time, but if you do, you're just going to be selecting it as it is on its own. Then you'll go back and max Solaris Reactor out, max Sage's Ward. If you're not getting the defense, straight to Solaris Reactor getting maxed out, straight to Sage's Ward getting maxed out, and then onto your Wellstring Staff. So by this time, you're going to be smashing creep waves like there's no tomorrow. Your ultimate is going to be phenomenal in team fights. And then it's just a matter of saying, do I need some extra sustainability, or do I need cooldown reduction because we're now into a team fight mode rather than a lane splitting mode? But the other little things that go here and there without making this video too extreme, I'm sure you can work it out. You know, sometimes I'll have a Sage's Ward and I'll get a Solaris Reactor, and I might put that, might get a healer token or something just because I need a little bit of more sustainability in the lane for a while. And then as I spoke to, the execution is key before. So Sage's Ward, Solaris Reactor, Advanced Spark. Shadow Scroll, max it out. Select what's going on situational wise. Do I need defense? If not, pump the damage, pump the damage, pump the damage, and then go to the cooldown towards the end, or towards the mid towards the end game to help with those team fights that will become more frequent, so you can drop more rocks on people's heads, and you can execute more escapes, and you can execute your ultimate a little bit quicker as well. So there we have it, guys. If you've got any questions, please let me know. I do apologize for the time between videos, but I can tell you that within the next 12 to 24 hours since this one comes up, I'm going to start to release some of my solo queue action with different heroes and some of my duo queue action. So the first video I'm very excited to get out there because I had a friggin' epic game will be solo queue Twin Blasts. See you later, YouTube.